let's get right to it. I'm going to do a brief, well, if this cooperates, I'm going to do a brief recap of making a possessive construction in Arabic. And then we're going to, everybody with me? I need to remember to open this in PowerPoint next time, because this is not responding. Okay, no big deal. This, oh, here we go. All right, possessive construction. We said that we were talking about some concept called the genitive case. All right. Now, what's the genitive case used for? The genitive case is used for three things. By the way, the genitive case is called in Arabic majroor, and it is represented by a kasra. In English, you have the luxury of not knowing all these things about cases, because for the most part, English doesn't affect your English at all. Well, in Arabic, knowing these things does affect your ability to speak in Arabic, and so, or understand. This is why we go into these things. The genitive case is used for three things, all of having to do with the relationship between two or more nouns. Whether that relationship is one of place, something's over, on top of, underneath something else, whether it's a relationship of time, before or after something else, or if it's a relationship of possession, that thing is mine, that thing is yours, it's his pen, it's her pen, and so on and so forth. In English, we have two possible ways to make possessive constructions. The easiest, most common way is to just slap that apostrophe S on the end of any noun. Abdullah's book. The book belongs to Abdullah. Yesterday's newspaper. The newspaper is from yesterday. But even in English, we have a second way. It's a little bit more formal, using the word of. The prophet of Allah, a friend of mine, and so on and so forth. So if we're in Arabic, we have no equivalent to apostrophe S. It doesn't exist. So we have to lean on the second way. And thankfully, alhamdulillah, this translates pretty much one-to-one from Arabic to English and from English to Arabic. So we're going to keep the same order in Arabic as the order that we use in English here. If I say the prophet of Allah, who is being possessed and who is the one possessing? The one being possessed comes first, the prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the one that is doing the possessing comes second, prophet of Allah. We're going to take that pattern and we're going to make a factory of possessive constructions and just do one after another, and until we get used to it. We're going to have a lot of practice today with that, inshallah ta'ala. So here is our example, Kitabullahi. Okay, so we have the order down because the order comes directly from English. It shouldn't be too foreign to us. However, there's a couple other things that you have to pay attention to, namely the endings of each of these words. Kitabu Allahi. Which things are fixed and which things can change? The first important thing to realize, what is fixed, is in the one who's possessing. In this case, in this example, Allah is always going to have a kasra. It's always going to be majroor in the genitive case. Okay? Allahi, it's never going to be kitabullahu. It's never going to be kitabullaha. Ever, ever, ever. Because this kasra on the end of Allah tells us in Arabic that Allah is possessing the noun that came before it. Without that kasra, the sentence means something completely different. Okay? That's the first thing that has to be there always. The second thing that has to be there always is not the dhamma in kitabu, but the fact that there's not two of them. Okay? It's never going to be kitabun, nor is it ever going to have alif lam. That's what is fixed and constant about the thing that's being possessed. Okay? It has no alif lam and it has no tanween. It is definite, it is ma'rifah, but it is definite by virtue of it being possessed by the second part of the construction. So it can change from dhamma to fatha to kasra depending on our sentence. It could be kitab Allahi, it could be kitabillahi, or it could be kitabullahi. But it is never going to have alif lam, and it is never going to have a tanween. It's never going to be kitabun ullahi, kitaban ilahi. No. Never. These are the two absolutely fixed things about possession. The first one has no tanween and no alif lam. The second one, it's going to be majroor in the genitive case, where that is represented by a kasra in this particular example. And all of this is just a summary of everything I just said, what can be changed and what can't. Very, very good. So, any questions about that before we get back into the book? That's the big idea. We're going to have two people reread the dialogue in the first chapter, because our questions that we're going to answer today is a comprehension exercise. It's going to ask you to follow along and to understand what's being communicated in the dialogue. So any questions conceptually about what we're doing here with possession before we go to that? Everything else is just vocab. If you understand the idea, it's just about vocab and getting accustomed to it. Okay, just like in nikah, I'll take your silence as acquiescence. And let's see, let's have a Sa'id and let's have a Yasir. Can I have, let's see, can I have the Sayyid family? Can I have Muhsin be Sa'id and can I have Saira be Yasir?
كتاب محمد هذا يا ياسر.
لا هذا كتاب حامد.
أين كتاب محمد؟
هو على المكتب هناك.
Good, Hunaka. Good job.
هناك.
أين دفتر أمار؟
هو على مكتب المدرس.
Good. على مكتب المدرس. They kind of were testing you there because they didn't tell you what's on the shadda of the ra. But here it's mudarrisi. Good job. Keep going.
قلم من هذا يا علي؟
هذا كلام المدرس. مدرسي, sorry.
Nice part. Good job. No problem.
أين حقيبة المدرس أو المدرس؟
هي تحت المكتب.
Excellent work. And we had discussed all the new vocab last time. If anybody is unsure about anything, you can pop a message into the chat. So now we're going to go down the list with comprehension questions. Ooh, all right. Number 1. Let's start with Muhsin.
أين كتاب محمد؟
Muhammad.
Muhammad, yes.
It's going to get tricky now because they're going to take away the harakat. Good. And the answer?
Am I supposed to answer or she is? Or I can?
Go ahead. You just handle number 1 and then I'll move on to Sire for number 2.
Okay, sure. هو على المكتب هناك.
Very good. So we have the question up here. We just find it in the dialogue. أين كتاب محمد? Yasser had answered. هو على المكتب هناك. Note that we use هو, him, or he, I should say, for book. Book is masculine in the Arabic language. Number 2, Sire.
Ina kitabu Amarin.
Yes, good work. أين كتاب عمار? Good. And what?
هو على مكتب المدرسي.
Excellent work. Very good. Oh, let me have you translate that, by the way. I'm going to just add more difficulty onto Syra while we're with her.
Where's Amar's book?
Yes.
And then it is on top of.
Yep.
Oh, it is. Wait. It is on top principal's desk table.
Very good. Yes. Only slight thing to tweak is that mudarrisi is teacher rather than principal, but 100% correct.
Okay.
Most important thing is you got the possessive construction and the preposition. That's the most important thing. So yes, it is on the teacher's desk. Fantastic. Good work. Okay, number 3. Arun.
أين حقيبة المدرس?
Very good. Pronounce that last for me. And mudarris. Is it mudarrisin or mudarrisat?
مدرسي.
Yeah, that's what. Good. And what's the answer?
Answer. هي تحت المكتب.
Fantastic. Now, do me the favor of translating for me the question and the answer.
Oh, I don't know the meaning of حقيبتي. Sorry.
Fantastic. If I Haqiba, maybe you can get it. Haqiba means bag.
Bag. Okay.
So, does that help?
Yeah. Where? Where is teacher's bag?
Yeah. Good. Excellent.
No.
The answer
Did I? Okay. Mudarris is teacher, right?
yes.
Yeah. هي تحت المكتب. مكتبي.
Exactly. Do you know what that means?
It. تحتي. Oh, it's under the table.
Yes. Excellent job. Excellent job.
Well, the photo helped me. Yeah.
Good job. So taht, our preposition meaning under, right? That was a new vocab word for this time. Notice how hiya is used for haqiba. Haqibatun has a ta marbuta, just like the feminine proper names Khadijatun, Khadijatu, Aishatu, right? And so on and so forth. Fatimatu. And so the pronoun that's used for it has to correspond. Kitab was huwa, haqiba was hiya. Hiya tahta al-maktabi. Fantastic. Good work. Next up. Oh, that's all for comprehension. That's okay, because the next exercise is a little bit less difficult. It's going to focus on pounding into your head, making these possessive constructions. Boom, boom. You're going to get used to making the first one without alif, lam, or tanween. The second one in the case, in the genitive case, majrur. Okay, so they're going to, let's see the instructions. أضف الكلمة الأولى إلى الثانية. Okay, you don't have to know what that means yet, but that's something to aspire to. Add the first word to the second. What they mean is أضف with possession. Okay, add it in a possessive construction. Our two examples here, we have kitabun, a book, and Muhammadun, Muhammad. So we're going to put them together in a relationship. What's the nature of this relationship? It's a possessive relationship. The book is going to belong to Muhammad. And so kitabun is going to drop its tanween and just keep one dhamma, kitabu. Muhammadin, it's going to change Muhammadun to Muhammadin, because now that Muhammadin is the possessor, he has to be majrur. He has to be in the genitive case. Second example over here, notice how it's a little bit different. We've got two columns. First column, proper names. Proper name goes to the genitive case, but it still has tanween. Over here, we have maktabun al-mudarrisu. Because the noun is a common noun, teacher, the teacher, and not a proper name, it's going to have alif lam in front of it. If it has alif lam in front of it, it is going to only have one harakah, even though it's in the genitive case. Maktabul mudarrisi instead of maktabul mudarrisin, right? No. It has alif lam, and so our normal rule applies. It cannot have tanween. Question in the chat box, we should do them all as marfu'? Yes. I want you to do every mudaf, the first word in every pair, as marfu' with a dhamma. Don't worry about next level is to get used to when they change cases, but we're not there yet. So we're on to Brother Tamim. Can you handle the first example for us? Read the two parts and then read them together in a possessive construction.
قلم حامد, and then for possessive it would be قلم حامد.
Fantastic. Excellent work. Brother Sa'id, next one.
Okay. Baytun, Abbasun, and then with the possessive is going to be Baytu Abbasi. Sorry, Baytu Abbasin.
Ah, good catch. I have to ask Brother Tamim to translate, but that's okay. While we're with you, translate this one. What does that mean together?
The of Abbas.
I think you said, I think the sound cut out, but you said the house of Abbas, and that would be correct, right? Or in a little less formal English, Abbas's house.
Yes.
Is everybody hearing me? Because it just popped up that my connection is unstable. Everybody can hear me?
I can hear you. Yep.
Might have cut out for a second, but oh well, good now. Okay, excellent work. Moving right along. Someone from the Sheikh family. Third example.
غرفة علي غرفة علي.
Excellent work. What's that mean?
So Ali's room. Ali's room.
Awesome. Somebody else from the Sheikh family. Next one.
دفتر سعيد دفتر سعيد.
Excellent. And what is
دفتر, yeah. دفتر.
Said's notebook.
Said's notebook.
Yes, fantastic. Good job. Masarrat, can you do the next one?
I forgot what Mindil is. Mindilun Yasirun, and then it'll be Mindilu Yasirin. Yeah, Yasirin. I forgot what Mindil is. Maybe key. No, that's miftah. Sorry, I forgot what mindil is.
No problem. Mindil is not a very commonly used word. It can mean a handkerchief or a piece of fabric.
Right. Yasir's handkerchief.
Very good. Excellent. Okay, going back to the top. Sometimes the order of participants changes on my screen, so that's good. It'll keep you on your toes. Next one, Arum.
Qamisun Ammarun. Qamisu Ammarin.
Fantastic. What does that mean?
Ammar's shirt.
Fantastic. Great job. Tamim, next one.
Sarirun Khalidun, which would be Sariru Khalidin.
Yes.
I think it's Khalid's bed.
Yes. Excellent work. Khalid's bed. Fantastic. Okay, now that's all using proper nouns. Okay, we had Hamidun, Abbasun, Aliyun, and so on and so forth. Now we're going to shift to doing common nouns, right? They're all going to have alif lam before them. There's a difference of opinion as to the word Allah, whether Allah is a proper name, so it should be over here in this category, or whether it is derived from al-ilah, the God. This is an old difference of opinion between the Nahwiyin, the scholars of grammar. From what I recall, Sibawayh says that Allah should be over here as a proper name, because if you do certain things to it, it doesn't behave as if it were a normal alif lam before it. Whereas other scholars, and apparently the author of this book has taken the opinion that it is derived from al-ilah. But in Quran it comes with a dhamma, right? Are we talking about the name of Allah? You're talking about the last letter, correct? Allahu. Because what I'm referring to is the first part of the word, right? The question historically is, I'll just do a little bit over here, is the name of, is Allah the word a proper name, Allah, or is it derived from al plus ilah, ilah meaning God, right? So al-ilah, did the God, al-ilah, historically eventually mold into Allah? So it's talking about what's going on here on the front side of the word. Whereas Sibawayh and many other scholars of grammar say that no, it's just Allah. And the evidence that they use is actually something we learned in this chapter. When you use ya, okay, we learned that if you use ya, sorry, this is a tangent, but for those who are interested, if we say ya Muhammad, then we change it from Muhammadun to Muhammadu. Okay. Well, there's other little funny things that happen with ya. So if I want to call upon Allah's name, Ar-Rahman, Alif Lam, Rahman, if I put ya, then I drop the Alif Lam. I say Ya Rahman. I don't say Yal Rahman, and I don't say Ya Al Rahman, right? And so Sibawayh argues that if Allah were truly derived from al-ilah, then we would not say Ya Allah, but we would say Ya Ilah, because we would omit the first part of the word. But we don't do that at all.
Did anyone not give the evidence that in the Quran, for example, if you look at Ayatul Kursi, it has I mean, if you look all through the Quran, like when it says, for example, the she camel of Allah, there's no tanween mentioned there.
Ah, I see what you're saying. So what you're implying is that this would be evidence for this side over here, because it has
Yeah.
tanween. Ah,
Yeah.
that's a very nice. I mean, I'll be completely honest. I haven't really like gone deep into this particular issue. I recall when we studied Alfiya ibn Malik, the explanation by Ibn Aqil, that it was mentioned in passing, right? I haven't read, a ton of research on this issue, but I found it was interesting when I first came across it. And that's a really, really good counter argument. So anybody who's following along, so the counter argument would be, okay, yeah, sure, we might say Ya Allah instead of Ya Ilah, but it's Allahu, it's not Allahun. And if it were a proper name, then it should act like a proper name, Allahun. Ah.
And similarly also, when we start Ayatul Kursi, we started as Allahu, but in the ayah where we say Muhammadur Rasulullah, we say Muhammadun there. So in the Quran, it seems to be used that way, right?
MashaAllah. That's very good. That's evidence for the other side. Like most classical differences of opinion, each side has evidence, and that's why it's a classical difference of opinion. So we see that the tanween seems to indicate that it would be a proper noun, or sorry, excuse me. The lack of tanween would seem to indicate that it's derived from al-ilah, whereas how it behaves when we put ya before it seems to indicate that it would be a proper noun, and this is exactly why they differed about it. Excellent. Good. Well, back to the, we parked the car and went down to the water. Now let's get back on the road. So we're here in the land of Alif Lams. And so now what you're going to have to do, the only thing that's different is you're putting them together in the same way, okay? The first part, the mudaf, is going to have no Alif Lam, no tanween, it's going to have a dhamma. And the second half is going to have Alif Lam and one kasra because it has the Alif Lam. So it'll be, instead of Maktabun al-Mudarrisu, Maktabul Mudarrisi. Maktabul Mudarrisi. Excellent. So going back to the top. Arum, could you please do the first example?
Miftahun al-Baytu. Miftahul Bayti.
Yeah, fantastic. And what does that mean?
Key. Oh, house is key.
Yes, exactly. In idiomatic English, we would say the house key, but exactly, literally, the house is key, or the key of the house. Very good. Next up, Tamim.
Dukkanun at-tajiru, and it would be Dukkanu tajiri.
Fantastic pronunciation. Now, what does that mean?
That would be the like merchant's store.
Yes. Excellent. Good job. Brother Sa'id, the next one.
Baytun al-muhandisu. Baytul muhandisi.
I don't think we've had al-muhandisu yet, correct?
No, but I think it means engineer, right? No?
Very good. That's that. So for everybody who wants to insist that their child be a doctor or an engineer, this is one of the important ones to learn. Now you can tell your child in Arabic to become an engineer. Very good. So it would be what?
The engineer's house.
Fantastic. Yes. Good job. Okay, someone from the Sheikh family, the following one.
Ismun al-waladu. Ismul waladu. What? Sorry, Ismul waladi. So the boy's name.
Yes, fantastic. Ismul waladi. Good. Okay, I'll leave this for a later date. Okay, next one. Someone else from the Sheikh family.
Kitabun Allahu. Kitabillahi. Kitabullahi.
Yes. To go from the top.
Allah's book.
Yes, fantastic. Yep. Kitabullahi. Oh, that lets me go on a tajweed tangent. So when is it illahi, Allahu, right? We have rules with the tafkhim of the lam. And we were talking about this just the other night, actually. When you have Allah, lam typically is a letter of tarqiq, which means that you pronounce it la, la, la. You don't say la, la, la. No, no, no. That's not how you pronounce the Quran. The exception is the name of Allah. Okay? Even then, not always. Sometimes you're going to say Allah, and sometimes you're going to say ilayh. How do you tell? What's the rule? It all is determined by what's the letter that comes before it. I'm going to write an X there. If the letter that comes before the name of Allah is a fatha or a dhamma, then you're going to make this dark. Baytullahi. Baytullahi. Kitabullahi. Huwa Allahu. Qul huwa Allahu ahad. Allahu samad. Huh? However, if the letter before the name of Allah has a kasra, then this will sound bright with tarqiq. Bismillahi. You can't say Bismillahi. No, no, no. Bismillahi. So that's your tajweed lesson for the day. Good. Next up, masarrats.
Bintun at-tabibu. Bintit tabibi. No, bintut tabibi.
Yes, very good. And translate that for us.
The doctor's daughter.
Yes, fantastic. Good job. So now we have 2 out of 3 of the Holy Trinity of professions. Please pardon my jokes. I hope I'm not offending anybody, but well, I love our engineers and doctors. We have al-muhandis and at-tabib. We have the engineer and the doctor. Fantastic. And the last one, let's go with Syra.
Miftahun asayaratu. It would be miftahus sayari. No, sayarati.
Yes, fantastic. You fought through it. Good job. Miftahus sayyarati. And that is not an easy word to say. Really well. So what does that mean? Do you recall? I don't think we've looked at sayyara in quite a while. Did you learn that word?
Car.
Yes. So a sayyaratu is the car. So what does the whole thing translate to?
Key.
Yes, fantastic. Again, idiomatically, we would say the car key, right? But if you're going to break it down to a literal translation, it would be the car's key. Excellent job, everyone. Fantastic. We have these 3 words: al-muhandis, engineer; al-tabib, doctor; and as-sayyara, car. Moving right along. Let's see. Okay. اقرأ واكتب مع ضبط أواخر الكلمات. Now they're going to take away all of the final endings and they're going to have you read to practice your ability to put the correct endings on the words. So I think, no, not all of these, but most of these, the first word is going to have a dhamma. And the one that is possessing is either going to have 1 kasra or 2 kasras, depending on, is it a common noun or is it a proper noun? So we left off with Brother Muhsin. Muhsin, could you please read us the first example here?
Sure, inshallah. Babul mudarrasati.
Oh, they tricked you. Al-mudarris is the teacher. And where do we teach? Al-madrasa.
Oh.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. Babul madrasati.
Yes, fantastic. Now, how is poor Muhsin supposed to know that? There's only one possible way, and that was the hint that they gave us right here. Look at how they gave us one. So in normal Arabic writing, if you pick up, any typical book that's written in Arabic, they're only going to include the harakat that eliminate ambiguity. Because you're right, you're absolutely right, that it's possible, and in the chat we say a teacher doesn't have a door or gate. We could, you're right, but we could. If, for example, you're in a school, you could say, where's so-and-so's door? Maybe the door to their office. It's possible. It's possible. It's not the first thing that comes to mind, but it's possible. So how do we know that this isn't a female teacher, al-mudarrisatu, right? And how do we know it's a school? The only possible way is if they spot us one of the harakat. And so they give us the fatha, which makes us have to conclude that it's madrasa and not mudarrisa. If they gave us the dhamma, then we would similarly conclude that it was a female teacher, al-mudarrisa. So definitely not at fault there, because that's a tricky one. Good. So he said babul madrasati. Babul madrasati, the door to the school, or the school's door. Very good. Going back to the top, we have Tamim. Brother Tamim, can you do the next one?
Sure. So this would be Himarur Rajuli.
Excellent. Translate that for us.
Like the man's donkey.
That's right. There's a good Nasruddin Hoja story in there, but for another time. Following one, Sa'id.
Baytu Hamidun.
Try again.
Baytun Hamidun.
Now, okay, this is good. This is good. We need this. Thank you, Sa'id. Okay. So if we say Baytu Hamidun, this can't exist in Arabic. Why? Because this noun has no alif lam and it has no tanween. If we add a tanween, it becomes an incomplete sentence. It literally means a house, hamid. Right? It's nonsensical. A house, hamid. What do we have to do to hamid in order to make the relationship between them clear?
Now I get it. Baytu Hamidin.
There we go. Notice how the endings, it's all about the Arabic is all about the endings. You change the ending, you change the meaning, right? The way that we know that Hamid is possessing anything is because it's in the genitive case, majrur. If it has a dhamma, if it has a fatha, it means something entirely different. We would never, an Arab would look at it and would never think that any sort of possession is going on. However, you throw a kasra down there, and like, oh, it's his. That's how Arabic works. Very good. I'm glad that happened, because that demonstrates the usefulness in knowing these, fairly abstract grammatical concepts and terms. So Baytu Hamidin is Hamid's house. Good. Sheikh family, someone from the Sheikh family, the next one.
Sayyaratul Mudiri.
Excellent. And what does that mean?
Principal's car.
Yes, fantastic. And someone else from the Sheikh family. Next one.
Mindilu Amarin. So Amar's handkerchief.
Fantastic. Good job. Masarrat, next one.
Ismut Talibi.
What does that mean?
The student's name.
Fantastic. Remind me on another class, because we're almost out of time, to explain the rules behind the Hamzatul Wasl and how to pronounce it when. You don't have time for that today. Sister Arum, next one.
Baytullahi,
Very good. And the meaning?
Allah's house.
Excellent. Okay. Brother Tamim.
في كتاب الله.
Oh, they got you. They got you, Tamim. Oh, man, they tricked him. Fi.
في كتاب الله.
MashaAllah. I had, honestly, I wanted to alert you to the danger, but I wanted to see how you would do. It's not your fault. So yes, beautiful. We have an example. And go ahead, translate it, and then I'll explain what's going on.
In the book of Allah.
Yes, fantastic. So what's going on here? Now we see in action how the first half, the mudaf, it doesn't have to be a dhamma. No. It can be a dhamma, a kasra, a fatha. It depends on what's going on in the sentence. The thing that has to be constant is that it cannot have alif lam, nope. And it cannot have a tanween. Never have two of these, nope. So we have fi kitabillahi, and because of that we change the pronunciation of the lam in Allah to tarqiq. Fi kitabillahi, just like fi dinillahi afwaja. Fantastic, great job. Last two, and then we'll be done, inshallah, Brother Sa'id.
Sorry, I was muted. من بيت المدرس.
Fantastic. And what does that mean?
From the teacher's house.
Exactly. And now we can see, we can make more complicated sentence. Kharaja min baytil mudarrisi. He left from the teacher's house. Fantastic. And finally, someone from the Sheikh family. Could you do the last one here?
Ala maktabil mudarrisi.
Look again at that last word.
Ala maktabil
Mudiri.
mudiri.
What does that mean?
To the principal's. Okay.
You got it. You're right there. On the principal's desk.
On the principal's desk.
Yeah,
Right.
it was on the tip of our tongue.
And you read it perfectly. Listen to how he said ala maktabi, because it comes after ala. Ala is a preposition. It makes what comes after it majroor. Now we have a possessive construction. Guess what? That makes what comes after it majroor. So we have ala maktabil mudiri, on the principal's desk, something that you don't want to have your name on the principal's desk. In spoken Arabic, the question comes, do they do idgham of the noon in min bayt? Not that I've experienced. From what I've experienced, and my experience is fairly limited to passing through Jordan and being in the Hijaz, Yanbu' Medina, most tajweed rules aren't applied in speech. So even like something like the idgham between men and the ya, right? Like if you were to say may yadhhab, right? Men yadhhab, who's going? They would not do that. They would say men yadhhab. Well, they probably wouldn't even say that, right? So generally, tajweed rules are not implemented in everyday speech. That is interesting. I never really took a second to think about it like that. Because the interesting thing is that tajweed rules are made to make things easier to pronounce, but that doesn't always carry over into spoken speech. Yeah, that is interesting. Okay, homework until next class. Your next exercise, Iqra, read. just practice reading. Again, they've taken away some of the harakat. So do your best. We've got plenty of reading exercises there. And if you really want to benefit, then I recommend that you write them. You copy them down in a notebook as well. That will help you a lot. And then it looks like next class we're just going to be finishing this lesson because there's enough exercises to run over everything and a review of yeah. Okay, fantastic. Anybody have any questions before we depart? Okay, thank you very much, everybody. Excellent work and effort as usual. I hope everything is going well with your studies and may Allah put barakah in it, inshallah. I'll see you next time. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.